Hey, you're watching 10 Minutes of Marketing. Today we're interviewing Danielle Fauteaux, who's an old friend of mine. I used to network with her 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your involvement in the world of marketing.
Yeah. So I got involved in the world of marketing agencies by working at several of them. I worked in individual contributor roles and in leadership roles, client facing, non client facing, and operations and biz dev for agencies. So I've kind of seen multiple facets of the struggles that agency owners have, especially when it comes to marketing their own services. And so I really fell in love with finding solutions for really stressed out, burnt out agency owners that had lost their passion. They'd kind of forgotten why they got started in their agency in the first place. And I helped them rekindle their love for what got them going to begin with.
Awesome. And what I find unique is you do marketing specifically for marketers. You don't do marketing for businesses. You do marketing for digital marketers, which I think is I mean, we see it all the time where people either don't do their own marketing, or the mechanic has the worst car, or that story happens over and over and over again. Tell me about what got you into that.
It does. It really is the case of the cobbler whose kids have no shoes, because creatives especially get into their trade and build up agencies because they love what they do. The other facets of marketing and business development that are really necessary and crucial kind of fall by the wayside because their goal is to make their clients successful and to make their clients happy. And so they forget about themselves, they put themselves last, and they wind up in a horrible feast to famine situation where sometimes it's that time of plenty, they're super busy, revenue, cash flow, it all looks really good. They're able to scale and hire more people. But then maybe they lose an anchor client, or those sales that were going to come through decide to cancel last minute. And so they fall into that famine mode and they realize, oh, shoot, all of that marketing and biz dev and networking that I should have been doing for the last 2 years, I haven't been doing. And now I'm in a bind.
So what do you think is the root cause of people not being able to create those systems?
I think it comes down to behaviors. It's kind of like managing your personal budget, to be completely honest. Being really good at handling your finances comes down to behavior more than anything else. You don't need to have a ton of financial investment acumen to be really successful in your personal finances. And in the same way, you don't have to have a ton of like marketing and biz dev wizardry knowledge to be successful in your business development efforts for your agency. You just have to be consistent and intentional and really set up structures and guidelines for how you are going to position your agency in the marketplace.
How do you help people keep consistent? Because I know that's the biggest thing. Like the first part of the year, everyone's got a plan, and then they just fall off.
Yeah, and they fall off because they get super busy with client work and the fires crop up. And so a lot of it starts with, okay, set expectations with your clients and set expectations of yourself. I'm a really big proponent of setting meetings with yourself and holding those times on your calendar sacred. So when you are sitting down to spend time working on your business instead of in your business, that is a non-negotiable time, as if you were spending that time with a client. Because realistically, if you think of your agency as an anchor client, you are going to invest more. You're going to put your best people onto the case. You're going to identify innovative new ways to approach market problems and problems with your audience, just the same way that you're approaching those problems on behalf of your clients, but you're actually doing it for yourself. The other really helpful tactic is to distribute who is doing the work for marketing your agency. I'm a big proponent as well of not just doing all of it yourself as the owner. So distribute who's doing what. Find people on your team internally that like doing different components of it. Maybe someone on your team loves doing social media, they can handle that. Maybe someone else loves to do networking, they can go and be the face of your agency, especially for introverted agency owners that don't want to network a lot. That can be really helpful. You can also partner with other agencies. I know that sounds a little funny, but you can have other agencies do your marketing for you. And when you create those relationships, when you establish those partnerships, maybe you have a videographer that helps you, maybe you have a content writer or two content writers, maybe you have some marketing technology agency professionals that are helping you set up some good systems, maybe you have some sales cold outreach agencies helping you get some leads in the door so that you can work those instead of trying to find them. So there's a lot of options for distributing the workload as well as outsourcing it so that your own agency marketing is still running smoothly.
Nice. So do you have accountability set up for people? Is that something that you make a priority? And
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would say if you don't have someone who can hold you accountable already in your life, you need to find that person. It can either be a spouse or a colleague or a peer of another sort, or you can hire a coach or something else to fill that accountability void because it's really important. People are most successful when they have to do something and it doesn't just sit by the wayside. And perfectionism, I would say, is also the primary adversary for a lot of creatives and agency owners. And so, really getting into the mindset that done is better than perfect can work wonders for your own business development efforts.
I think the done is better than perfect thing holds true in my business for sure, because a lot of the time I am perfectionist. And I think that's probably, when it's what you do, you don't want anything to seem half baked, right?
Sure. And that's kind of the fear that a lot of people express because they want to show people their capabilities, which definitely should be done. But there's this interesting paradigm where if you have something waiting and not actually published because you're trying to perfect it and you're spending 4 months longer to perfect it, you've lost 4 months of time in actually helping people and getting your biz dev pipeline filled too.
Mhm.
So I honestly see a lot of times people will get to like that 90% complete point and be like, okay, I just need to step back for a minute and maybe sleep on it. But then they take 2 to 4 weeks to even pick it back up again because they get busy putting out client fires. So if you could implement one thing today to change that habit that has formed, it would be get to that 90% point and then say, nope, I'm going to take 30 more minutes and I'm going to finish it. I'm going to set this puppy live and we're going to see what happens. Because realistically, even if it's already live, you can still go back 4 weeks later and make any changes that you want.
Mhm. Yeah, and I feel like even looking back in anyone's business, you see an improvement in marketing, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
And I mean, no one looks back at their stuff a year ago and says that was perfect,
right.
right?
And taking stock too, like what did you accomplish over last year? I just did this with a client of, we did their 2022 wins and reflected on what went really well in their business in 2022, what they were proud of professionally, personally, and as a team. And it brought up to the surface for them some things that felt like it'd been super long ago, but actually it happened within the last 12 months. And so that was really awesome to see. And so even setting up some personal accountability to celebrate what you've accomplished, I think is really important too.
What's something that businesses can do, specifically marketing companies, in 10 minutes this week that's going to improve their marketing?
In 10 minutes this week, sit down and make a plan for 5 blog posts and go on to Fiverr or Upwork and find a good writer, not the $10 ones, go for like the $80, $100 ones and find a good writer and send them those orders and let them work their magic and then post them. That's what I would recommend.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Danielle, for being on the show. As always, if you guys aren't using these tips, then they're not going to make a difference in your businesses. So take action, use these tips to help improve your marketing, and let us know in the comments if you have any ideas or which one of these tips you might enact in your business. We'll see you guys in the next one.